What if I told you that something you can put on your plate today has the potential to protect your DNA, activate your body's internal repair system, and even make it harder for cancer cells to survive? Here's what's really going on inside your body. Every single day, your DNA is under attack, not just from toxins or pollution, but from normal metabolism. Every time you burn fuel for energy, you create oxidative stress. That's like tiny sparks flying off a fire. And those sparks can damage your DNA. Now, your body is not helpless. You have built-in DNA repair systems. You have tumor suppressor genes. You have immune cells that hunt down abnormal cells before they ever become a problem. But these systems are metabolically expensive. They depend on stable blood sugar, low insulin, healthy mitochondria, low chronic inflammation. And here's the problem. The modern diet shuts these systems down. Constant snacking, high sugar, ultra-processed foods, poor sleep. All of these create a metabolic environment where DNA damage accumulates faster than your body can repair it. That is the real root cause. Not just bad genes, not just bad luck, but a metabolic terrain that either protects your DNA or leaves it vulnerable. Now, here's the empowering part. There are specific foods that activate your body's DNA repair pathways, reduce oxidative damage, lower insulin, and create an internal environment where abnormal cells struggle to grow. One of the most powerful categories of these foods contains natural compounds that turn on tumor suppressor genes, activate autophagy, your cellular cleanup system, reduce angiogenesis, the process tumors use to grow blood supply, improve metabolic flexibility. This is not about a miracle food. This is about using food as biological information. What you eat is not just calories. It is a signal to your genes. In today's talk, I'm going to break this down in a very practical way, like we're standing at a whiteboard together. We'll talk about how DNA damage actually happens, why insulin and glucose fuel abnormal cell growth, the specific foods that activate repair pathways, how timing like fasting multiplies the effect, the role of your liver and detox systems, and how to build a simple daily protocol. So, you're not just eating healthy, you're eating strategically for longevity, metabolic health, and cellular protection. Because the goal is not fear, the goal is control. If this is helpful so far, consider subscribing. I post content like this every day to help you take back control of your biology using science-based tools. Let's start with the first key concept, understanding what DNA damage actually is and why metabolism controls whether it gets repaired or becomes a problem. Let's start by removing the fear and replacing it with physiology. DNA damage is not rare, it is happening in your body right now. In fact, each of your cells experiences tens of thousands of DNA hits per day from normal metabolic activity. But here's the key. Damage is not the problem. Failure to repair is the problem. Let me explain this with a simple analogy. Imagine your DNA is a library. Every book is a gene. Every page is an instruction for how your body functions. Now, imagine tiny sparks landing on those pages all day long. That's oxidative stress. That's inflammation. That's blood sugar spikes. If you have a full-time repair crew, those sparks get fixed immediately. If the repair crew is understaffed, underfed, and overwhelmed, the damage accumulates. So, what determines whether your repair crew is active? Metabolism. Your DNA repair systems depend on NAD plus levels, mitochondrial function, stable glucose, low insulin, adequate micronutrients. When insulin is chronically elevated, your body shifts into growth mode. Growth mode is useful when you're a child. It's useful when you're healing a wound. It is not useful when abnormal cells are present because insulin is not just a blood sugar hormone. It is a growth signal. It tells cells multiply, don't die, store energy, and abnormal cells listen to that signal too. What the research shows is that hyperinsulinemia, chronically elevated insulin, is associated with increased risk of multiple cancers because it activates pathways like IGF-1 and mTOR, which promote cellular growth and reduce apoptosis, the natural death of damaged cells. So when your metabolism is dysregulated, Two things happen at the same time. You increase DNA damage and you decrease DNA repair. That is the double hit. Now let's bring food into this. Certain foods provide polyphenols, flavonoids, and isothiocyanates, compounds that activate genes involved in DNA repair. One of the most studied examples is sulforaphane found in broccoli sprouts. Sulforaphane activates a pathway called NRF2. NRF2 is like flipping on your internal antioxidant defense system. It increases glutathione, enhances detoxification enzymes, and protects DNA from oxidative damage. But here's the important part. These compounds work best in a low insulin environment. If you eat broccoli sprouts with a high sugar meal, you blunt the effect. That's why metabolic context matters more than the food alone. So, here's a practical protocol you can start. First, stabilize your blood sugar. Build meals around protein, healthy fats, fiber, low glycemic vegetables. Second, include one DNA protective food daily: broccoli sprouts, kale, arugula, cabbage. Third, create a 12-4-hour overnight fasting window to lower insulin and activate repair pathways. This is not extreme fasting, it simply means finishing dinner earlier and delaying breakfast slightly. This gives your body time to switch from growth mode to repair mode, and this is where the magic happens. This is your body increases autophagy, your mitochondria become more efficient, your DNA repair enzymes become more active. You are not starving yourself, you are feeding your repair systems. If this is making sense so far, and you're starting to see food as information rather than just calories, consider subscribing, because this is the foundation of metabolic health. Next, we're going to talk about something critical: why glucose and insulin don't just affect weight. They create the exact fuel environment that abnormal cells depend on, and how to shift your body out of that state. Now let's go deeper into one of the most misunderstood drivers of cellular damage. Glucose is not the enemy. Insulin resistance is the problem. Your body is designed to use glucose. Your brain can use it. Your muscles can use it. But the system only works properly when glucose rises and falls in a controlled rhythmic way. What breaks the system is constant elevation. Let me draw this out like a whiteboard. On one side, we have a healthy metabolic pattern. You eat, glucose rises, insulin rises briefly, cells absorb energy, insulin falls, your body returns to repair mode. On the other side, we have the modern pattern: snack, insulin, sugary drink, insulin, late night meal, insulin, poor sleep, insulin resistance. Now, insulin never falls. You are permanently in storage and growth mode. Here's why this matters for abnormal cells. Many abnormal cells rely heavily on glucose for rapid growth. This phenomenon is often described in metabolic research as a preference for glycolysis even when oxygen is available. In simple terms, they are sugar dependent. When insulin is high, more glucose is pushed into cells. Growth signals increase, apoptosis, the self-destruct mechanism, decreases. So you are simultaneously feeding growth and disabling cleanup. This is why metabolic health is protective at the cellular level. What the research shows is that improving insulin sensitivity lowers circulating growth signals, reduces chronic inflammation, improves immune surveillance, enhances mitochondrial function, and this shifts the internal environment from growth at all costs to repair and regulation. Now, let's make this practical. Your goal is not to eliminate carbohydrates. Your goal is to control the insulin response. Here's how you do that. First, change the order of eating. Start meals with fiber, vegetables, protein, healthy fats, then eat carbohydrates last. This alone can significantly reduce post-meal glucose spikes. Second, walk for 10 minutes after meals. This acts like a glucose disposal system. Your muscles pull glucose out of the bloodstream without requiring large amounts of insulin. Third, compress your eating window. Even moving from a 14-hour eating window to a 10-12-hour window improves insulin sensitivity. Fourth, prioritize sleep. One night of poor sleep can induce temporary insulin resistance. That means your breakfast the next morning produces a higher glucose spike than it normally would. Sleep is not just recovery, Sleep is metabolic regulation. Now, let's connect this back to DNA protection. When insulin falls, EMPK activates, mTOR decreases, autophagy increases. These are the exact signals that tell your body repair damage, remove dysfunctional cells, improve mitochondrial efficiency. So the strategy is not fight disease. The strategy is change the terrain, lower insulin, stabilize glucose, activate repair pathways. This is metabolic therapy through lifestyle. And when you combine this with DNA protective foods like cruciferous vegetables, berries rich in polyphenols, green tea cans, you are stacking biological advantages. You are reducing fuel for abnormal growth while increasing protection and repair. Next, we're going to talk about specific compounds in foods that actually turn on tumor suppressor genes and detox pathways, and how to use them in the right amounts at the right time for maximum effect. Now, let's talk about the foods that act less like calories and more like biological switches, because certain compounds in food don't just nourish you, they talk to your genes. They activate tumor suppressor pathways. They enhance detoxification enzymes. They reduce oxidative damage to DNA. One of the most powerful examples is sulforaphane, which we mentioned earlier. Sulforaphane comes from cruciferous vegetables, but the highest concentration is in broccoli sprouts, which can contain up to 20-50 times more of this compound than mature broccoli. Here's what sulforaphane does inside your body. It activates the NRF2 pathway. Think of NRF2 as your internal antioxidant command center. When NRF2 turns on, your body increases glutathione production, phase 2 liver detox enzymes, DNA repair activity, protection against oxidative stress. So, you're not just consuming antioxidants, you're turning on your own antioxidant system, which is far more powerful. Now here's another key compound, EGCG, found in green tea. EGCG has been shown in multiple studies to reduce abnormal cell proliferation, support apoptosis of damaged cells, lower inflammation, improve metabolic flexibility, and importantly, it works synergistically with low insulin levels. Then we have polyphenols from berries, especially blueberries and blackberries. These compounds reduce oxidative DNA damage and improve mitochondrial function. Remember, healthy mitochondria gachar, less oxidative stress, gachar, less DNA damage. Now let's talk about turmeric specifically, the active compound curcumin. Curcumin has been studied for its ability to modulate inflammatory pathways like NFKB, enhance apoptosis, and damage cells. Reduce angiogenesis, the formation of new blood vessels that abnormal growth depends on. But there's a practical detail most people miss. Curcumin is poorly absorbed unless consumed with black pepper and fat. So a simple protocol would be turmeric plus black pepper plus olive oil. Now let's make this actionable and simple. Your daily DNA support stack from food could look like this. Morning green tea for EGCG. First meal, a handful of berries. Main meal, cruciferous vegetables, broccoli sprouts, arugula, cabbage, or kale. Evening meal, turmeric with black pepper, and healthy fat. That's it. You don't need extreme diets, you need consistent signals. And here's where timing matters. Again, these compounds work best when insulin is low, inflammation is low, the liver is not overloaded, which means combining them with timer-restricted eating, whole foods, minimal ultra-processed sugar. If this is helping you see food in a completely different way as gene-regulating information, consider subscribing because this is how we move from reactive health to proactive biology. Next, we're going to talk about one of the most powerful internal repair systems you already have, autophagy, and how the timing of your meals can activate a cellular cleanup process that removes damaged components before they become a problem. Now let's talk about one of the most powerful, anti-aging, DNA protective, and metabolically healing systems built into your body, autophagy. Autophagy literally means self-eating. But don't let the name scare you. This is your body's cellular recycling and cleanup program. Here's what's really going on inside your cells. Every day, proteins become damaged. Mitochondria become inefficient. DNA fragments accumulate, If these damaged components stay in the cell, they create oxidative stress, inflammation, genetic instability. Autophagy identifies these dysfunctional parts, breaks them down, and recycles them into new, healthy components. So instead of accumulating damage, you renew. Let me give you a simple analogy. Imagine your cell is a house. Autophagy is your nightly cleaning crew. If the cleaning crew shows up every night, the house stays organized and functional. If the cleaning crew never comes, clutter builds, systems break, and eventually the house becomes unlivable. What determines whether the cleaning crew shows up? Insulin and nutrient signaling. When you are constantly eating, especially refined carbohydrates, insulin stays elevated and autophagy is turned off. Your body assumes we are in growth mode, no need to recycle. But when you create a fasting window, even something as simple as 12 to 16 hours overnight, insulin drops and a different signal turns on. AMPK increases, mTOR decreases, autophagy activates. This is where your body begins to remove damaged mitochondria. Clear misfolded proteins support DNA stability, improve metabolic efficiency. This is one of the reasons time-restricted eating is associated with improved markers of longevity and metabolic health. You are not just reducing calories, you are activating repair biology. Now, here's how to do this safely and practically. You do not need extreme fasting. Start with a 12-hour overnight fast. For example, finish dinner at 7 p.m., eat breakfast at 7 a.m. Once that feels natural, you can extend to 14 hours. For many people, that means dinner at 7 p.m., first meal at 9 a.m. During the fasting window, you can have water, green tea, black coffee, if tolerated. This keeps insulin low and allows autophagy to continue. Now here's where food quality matters again. When you break the fast, do not spike insulin immediately with sugar or refined carbohydrates. That shuts down the repair process abruptly. Instead, break your fast with protein, healthy fats, fiber. This maintains metabolic stability. And here's something powerful. Exercise, especially fasted walking or resistance training, amplifies autophagy, your muscle signal for mitochondrial renewal. So a simple morning routine could be fasted, walk, green tea, protein-rich first meal. You have now stacked low insulin autophagy activation, mitochondrial repair, DNA protection. This is how lifestyle becomes molecular medicine. Next, we're going to talk about a critical organ that determines how much cellular damage accumulates in the first place, your liver. Because if your detox pathways are overloaded, oxidative stress increases, inflammation rises, and DNA repair systems are forced to work overtime. Now, let's focus on an organ that often gets overlooked, but plays a central role in DNA protection and metabolic health, your liver. Think of your liver as a biochemical command center. It detoxifies harmful substances, processes nutrients, and even regulates hormone balance. When it's overloaded, everything else suffers, including your DNA repair systems. Here's what's really going on inside your liver. Every time you consume sugar, alcohol, or processed foods, your liver has to process them. Many of these foods generate reactive oxygen species, RO, the tiny sparks that damage DNA. Normally, your liver neutralizes ROS through phase 1 and phase 2 detoxification pathways, relying on antioxidants like glutathione. But if your liver is constantly stressed, detox enzymes become depleted, oxidative stress increases, inflammation rises systemically, DNA repair systems are slowed down. In other words, a sluggish liver creates an environment where cellular damage accumulates faster than your body can fix it. Let me give you a simple analogy. Imagine your liver is a factory with a conveyor belt. Each damaged molecule or toxin is a package that must go through processing. If the belt moves smoothly, everything is handled efficiently. If it's overloaded, packages pile up and errors multiply, eventually affecting other systems, including DNA repair and immune surveillance. So, how do we optimize liver function for DNA protection? Support phase 2 detoxification with cruciferous vegetables and sulfur-rich foods. broccoli, Brussels sprouts, cabbage, garlic, onions. These foods supply compounds like silyrophane and glutathione precursors that boost liver detox pathways, minimize liver stress from sugar, alcohol, and processed foods. High fructose intake and alcohol directly impair detox enzyme activity. Even occasional binges can temporarily reduce DNA repair efficiency. Time your meals to support liver rhythms. Your liver has a natural circadian rhythm. Heavy late night meals force it to process toxins when it should be in repair mode. Aim for your last meal at least 2 to 3 hours before sleep. Hydration and antioxidants. Water supports circulation and toxin removal. Polyphenols from berries, green tea, and turmeric reduce oxidative stress, allowing the liver to focus on detox and repair rather than damage control. Optional supportive supplements, milk thistle, silyrin, and acetylcysteine, NAC, a glutathione precursor, alpha lipoic acid. These interventions may seem small, but they have a cumulative effect. A well-functioning liver reduces systemic oxidative stress, lowers inflammation, and ensures your DNA repair crew can operate at full capacity. Here's the key insight. Optimizing your liver doesn't require extreme measures. It requires consistent daily support. Eat cruciferous and sulfur-rich vegetables. Reduce sugar and processed foods. Align meals with circadian rhythm. Support detox pathways naturally. When you do this, the combination of low insulin, active autophagy, DNA protective foods, and a healthy liver creates an internal environment where abnormal cells struggle to survive without drugs or extreme interventions. If you're finding this useful so far, remember, small, consistent daily habits compound into major metabolic and cellular protection gains over time. Next, we'll put it all together in a simple daily protocol. You can actually follow to repair DNA, starve abnormal cells, and support long-term metabolic health. Now that we've covered DNA damage, insulin, gene-activating foods, autophagy, and liver function, let's bring it all together into a practical daily protocol. This is not a restrictive diet or a complicated plan. It's about stacking small science-based habits that create an internal environment for repair, DNA protection, and metabolic resilience. Morning routine, fasted movement, or gentle exercise. A 10 to 20-minute walk or light resistance work before breakfast. Lowers insulin, activates autophagy, primes mitochondria. Green tea or black coffee. Provides EGCG and mild caffeine to stimulate metabolism. No sugar. Keep insulin low. First meal, breakfast or break fast. Focus on protein, fiber, and healthy fats. Examples: eggs with spinach, avocado, and seeds. Greek yogurt with chia and berries. Include DNA protective foods, berries, cruciferous vegetables, or sprouts. Lunch, cruciferous vegetables, broccoli, cabbage, arugula, protein, fish, chicken, or legumes. Healthy fats, olive oil, nuts, avocado. Optional, turmeric with black pepper to reduce inflammation. Afternoon snack if needed. Small handful of nuts or a few pieces of dark chocolate. Avoid refined carbs and sugar. These spike insulin and reduce repair activity. Dinner, protein-focused fatty fish, poultry, or plant-based protein. Fiber-rich vegetables, sulfur-rich foods to support liver detox. Finish meals at least 2 to 3 hours before bed to align with liver circadian rhythm. Lifestyle enhancements, time-restricted eating. Keep eating window around 10-12 hours. Fasting allows autophagy and repair pathways to operate sleep optimization. Aim for 7 to 10 hours. Sleep restores insulin sensitivity, mitochondrial function, and DNA repair. Hydration and antioxidants. Water throughout the day. Polyphenol-rich beverages and foods reduce oxidative stress. Physical activity, resistance training or interval cardio 3 to 4 times per week. Stimulates autophagy, improves insulin sensitivity, and supports mitochondrial health. Optional supplement support, broccoli sprout extract for silyrophane if you struggle to eat enough cruciferous vegetables, milk thistle or NAC for liver support if needed. Key takeaways for maximum effect. Consistency over intensity. You don't need perfect adherence. Daily small wins compound into major benefits. Metabolic context matters. Timing, insulin, and nutrient pairing amplify the effects of DNA protective foods. Stacking habits, fasted movement, DNA protective foods, liver support, and sleep work synergistically. Think of this like building a fortress around your cells. Each habit is a wall, a tower, or a gate. Together, they create a strong defense against DNA damage and abnormal cell growth. Remember, this is not about fear or restriction, it's about empowerment. You are giving your body the tools to repair itself, remove damaged components, and operate optimally. By the end of the day, if you implement just a few of these steps, eating cruciferous vegetables, stabilizing blood sugar, and maintaining a fasting window, you are already shifting your internal biology toward repair and longevity. Next, we'll wrap everything up with a conclusion, recap the main insights, and give you a simple challenge you can implement immediately for lasting cellular protection. Let's bring everything together and make it practical, because knowledge without action is just theory. Here's what we've covered. DNA damage is constant, but your body has powerful repair systems. The problem isn't damage itself, it's when repair is overwhelmed by metabolic stress. Insulin and glucose are not just about weight, they are growth signals. High constant insulin fuels abnormal cell proliferation and slows DNA repair. Certain foods are gene-activating powerhouses. Sulforaphane from broccoli sprouts, EGCG from green tea, polyphenols from berries, and curcumin from turmeric all support DNA repair, detoxification, and cellular defense. Autophagy is your internal cleanup crew. Fasting windows, low insulin, and strategic movement activate the system to remove damaged proteins, dysfunctional mitochondria, and even abnormal cells before they become a problem. The liver is central to your cellular health. Detox pathways, antioxidant capacity, and circadian alignment determine how efficiently your body can neutralize oxidative stress and repair DNA. Stacking these habits daily creates a metabolic environment where repair dominates over damage, where abnormal cells struggle to survive, and where your mitochondria, hormones, and metabolism all function optimally. Now, here's why this matters for you. When you stabilize blood sugar, optimize liver function, activate autophagy, and include DNA protective foods, you are doing more than supporting weight loss or energy. You are supporting your longevity, cognitive function, metabolic health, and resilience against disease. These are habits that compound. Small, consistent changes like adding broccoli sprouts to a meal, walking after eating, or finishing dinner 2 hours before bed build a cumulative defense for your cells. Over weeks, months, and years, they translate into measurable improvements in energy, focus, and health span. So, here's your challenge for today. Pick one change from this video. It could be adding a DNA repair food, creating a 12-hour overnight fast, or taking a short walk after lunch, and track how your body responds. See the difference in your energy, focus, or even digestion. Small wins like this are the foundation of lasting health. And remember, this is not about perfection, it's about empowerment. Every choice you make sends a signal to your genes, either toward repair and resilience or toward growth and damage. You have the ability to influence that signal every single day. If this video added value, like it and subscribe to join others who are optimizing their health naturally, repairing DNA, and starving abnormal cell growth, all without medication, fear, or extreme diets. Your body has remarkable tools already built in. You just need to stack the right habits in the right metabolic context consistently over time. That's how you shift from reactive health to proactive biology, from surviving to thriving. If you want, I can now write the full package for your YouTube video. Title, thumbnail, concept, description, timestamps with emojis, keywords, hashtags, disclaimer, references, and tags. Everything formatted for upload. Do you want me to do that?